It's great for you to have the courage to come forward here and talk to a group of people that you've really never met before and share with us this remarkable event. And hopefully, other people that see this will also feel encouraged to go out and tell other people about their experiences as well, so that we can kind of get this subject, the taboo that seems to exist around this subject, lifted, and have people realize that there are lots of people out there that are having incredible experiences like this, and it's good for people to share this kind of information.
Thank you. My name is Harry, and I live in Montana City, Montana, just outside one of the outskirts cities of Helena, Montana, the state capital. Several years ago, approximately 3 years ago, on Labor Day evening of September 1st or 2nd, 2011, at about 23:30 hours at night, or 11:30, my wife and I were returning from Billings, Montana, after visiting family in that city, which is about a 3.5-hour drive. When the wife and I exited the interstate highway that we were traveling on, there's a long stretch of road that goes from what they call Three Forks, Montana, to Townsend, Montana. And it's a very quiet piece of road. It's a 2-lane highway, 4 in some places for passing lanes. And there are stretches of that part of this 2-lane highway where there are no telephone poles. It's sagebrush country, very low hills, and basically no obstructions at all along this part of the interstate, or this part of the road. Now, at the end of this particular road is the Missouri River. It's part of the first stretch of where it goes actually into other states. And as the wife and I had left Three Forks off the interstate, we were traveling on this road, and approximately 10 to 15 minutes on the 2-lane road, I noticed what appeared to be approximately 10, 15 miles away from me, down towards, which would probably be exactly where the Missouri River is. I noticed a emerald green light that was the size of a small pinpoint down on off the road because of the distance from where I was traveling from. And I'm starting to go, well, I've been on this road 1,000 times. I've never seen this type of lighting before. And I started paying more attention to it. I was tired from the trip from Billings, and I was a little slow at actually figuring out what was going on. But the more I observed this green light, this emerald green light, it kind of had a pulsing sensation to it. And before I could think of anything, that light had traveled at approximately 10, 15 miles so fast that it was looked like it was traveling down this road, coming directly at me. It was coming from the north, heading south, and I was heading south, heading northbound. And the next thing I knew, I was in a Honda Odyssey 2001 van, and there was a green light that filled this whole road, approximately 200-300 feet on each side of the road, and then was filling the compartment of my car to where it was just outstanding brilliance, and it was beautiful. I'd never seen anything like this. I started hitting the brakes on my car to slow down. I was doing approximately 70 miles an hour. And as I was decelerating, this light was upon the vehicle, and I had my wife, she was along with me on the trip, as I mentioned, and she was kind of dozing in the passenger seat. And as this craft came alongside my vehicle, it was approximately, I would say, 100 to 200 feet to the right of me, off the side of the road. It was traveling at such a huge amount of speed. And on this craft were strobe lights. And what happened is, I've got a lot of experience with military aircraft, jets of all types, from my civilian career, with my military career. And I have been an instructor at the university in Helena, crash fire rescue involving aircraft. I'm very familiar with what they look like, what their engines sound like, and how they operate. The first thing I noticed with this vehicle, whatever it was the size of the strobe lights on the side of this. The strobes are approximately the size of my van. from what I could tell. And as it passed, it would blip, and then it would pause a second, and then there would be another one that would flash. And then it did this for approximately 7 flashes in a row. And because of my speed and what it was traveling, I figured this craft was approximately at least 300, 350 feet long. Now, by the time it had done passing me, my car was completely stopped. This vehicle made absolutely no sound. There was nothing from it. There was no vibrations, anything. My wife became awake at the time, and I told her, look out the window and look what we got here. And as we both turned and looked to our right, where the craft was, as we both looked, it was gone. It disappeared. We couldn't see a thing of it afterwards. And it was quite an experience.
Can you show us the picture that you drew? And I'll get a close-up here of that. So,
the diagram up here in this corner is heading towards the Missouri River. And it was a small beam of light to start with. The next thing I know, this craft is right up alongside of us.
Okay.
And this is the size it appeared to be when it was alongside my vehicle. And those strobes, there's no aircraft in the world with strobes that size or that many. It was quite an experience.
That was a very impressive moment in your life. I'm sure that's something that you've never forgotten.
Never forget. Every time I drive that piece of road, I'm always looking, especially at nighttime. Are the boys back?
So what was it that made you feel that this made no sound?
My car was stopped, and any vehicle of that size, I don't care what it is, it's going to vibrate, it's going to make noise. I've flown in helicopters, I've been in jets of all sizes, worked on aircraft carriers, jet launches, which was part of my job. I know what these things can do and what they sound like.
Uh-huh.
This made no noise whatsoever.
Nothing.
Nothing.
How long do you think the sighting lasted in total time, from the time that you first saw that light until the time that it was past you?
Minute, 2 minutes. It happened so fast.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And it was gone.
All right. After seeing that, do you have any doubts about that craft possibly being something made by human beings?
We didn't make anything like that. It's too large.
Uh-huh.
And to keep that suppressed and under wraps, impossible.
I would think so. Does anyone else have any questions that they'd like to ask Harry about this event?
What's the strobe? What do you mean by strobe?
Oh, my mouth is really dry. On all aircraft, you have lights. As an example, the strobe lights.
Oh.
That from the air, you can see them for many, many miles in the air. Other pilots can see them and get a fix on their location as to where they are.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
And
see.
that's what they're for. Now, why this craft needed 7 huge strobes, as I indicated, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But it was there.
Because it was a huge craft, wasn't it?
Very, very big.
Yeah.
How high off the ground do you think it was?
All aircraft, civilian and military, when they're traveling in any airspace whatsoever, they have to be at least 500 feet off the ground. 500 feet AGL, above ground level.
Uh-huh.
This was right alongside me, 100 feet, 200 at the most above ground. It was breaking the rules.
Yeah.
Our rules.
Our rules.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
I have a question. Do you feel the craft was observing you?
My wife and I, in our little car, were the only ones on that highway. Why did it choose us? Yes, I think it was.
Did it slow down and make any indication that it was looking at you?
No, I don't believe so. It was just too fast. Probably found us very uninteresting.
Although we both said, remember what we said? You said, they're after me, and I said, no, they're after me.
Yeah, we kind of took, my wife and I, kind of leaning forward after the vehicle had left. She was saying, I said, well, I guess they're after me. And she says, no, they're after me. So I don't know what the deal was. But we got to see them. The only ones on that whole stretch of road.
Well, any feeling that the thing changed altitude as it approached you?
I feel that when it left the Missouri River area, it stayed at that 100, 200 feet distance off the ground the whole stretch. And it would have to go up and down because it's hilly in that area. And there are places way back towards the Missouri River where there are telephone poles. So they'd have to be at least 200 feet off the ground. But they never went up any higher than that, and they were on top of us before you blink and wink an eye.
So it was moving at a consistent rate of speed?
Yes, very fast.
Did you notice any effect on your, like your engine of your vehicle or your electrical system, or?
One thing I did notice, once I perceived that this was something I should take a really good look at, and I started hitting my brakes, there became a period of time where I believe I was bringing my car to a stop, but by the time it got to me, I couldn't tell whether I was still operating that car or not. And as it passed, I finally felt like it stopped, but there was a time perception that just kind of stood still. And the light in that car was just beautiful. It was the most awesome emerald green I'd ever seen in my life. It filled the whole vehicle on both sides of the road, 100, 200 feet out.
Did the light cast a shadow that you can recall? Or was it sort of all over, all around?
It, as a comparison, I've been on military maneuvers and they send up candle flares that they discharge when they're going to attack an enemy or tanks or whatever. And on the ground, it's an eerie kind of light. It's not totally what anything you'd be used to. And it didn't cast shadows. It's just that it was everywhere. And it was extremely bright. But it was so green and calming and soothing. I wasn't afraid at all. There was nothing going in my mind except, let's take a look at this. And it went by. Now, when the strobes were hitting, they were so incredibly bright I had to look at the car inside my vehicle and watch the flashes as it came by, and I'd kind of watch through my right eye those strobes as each one of them clicked off. And I counted the first one, 1001, 1002. And like I said, there was 1,000 1,000ths of a second stop between each flash. And I said, how long is this going to go on? And after the 7th one, it stopped. So it was quite an experience.
Did you arrive home when you expected to arrive home?
You know, I never took notice of that. But it did feel like time stood still. It was just something I'd never experienced.
Your illustration there shows perspective change of a rectangular surface. Is that the strobe lights or the overall?
This here is my rendition of the strobe lights.
Uh-huh.
And my car gives you an approximate size. And then the strobe, I say, was almost about the same size as my vehicle. And this thing just kept coming like, as an example, a Doppler effect.
Mm-hmm.
Here it comes, it's huge. Way back here's the end of it. And you can't see the end of it. And it gets past 1,001, bright, 1,002, flash, 1,003, flash. 7 times it did this all the way up. And just as it got past my window right here, the trail end of it, which I didn't know when it was going to end, just gone. Nothing. And my wife is looking out this window. We're stopped dead in this road. No cars in front, no cars in back coming towards us whatsoever. We're out there all by ourselves. And we got greeted by these folks. I wish they would have stopped and said hi or something, but they didn't. But now that I remember the time phase situation, it was like time did slow down. Everything was just, whoa, here we go, here we go. And I'm hitting the brakes. And then I stopped concentrating on the brakes and I just wanted to stop the car. And the thing was on top of us and then gone. So other than that, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. I
Okay,
stopped.
thank you very much, Harry.